Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Anxiety Warriors podcast. We are your hosts, Margot
and Abby. We are friends, teachers, and storytellers, but above all, we're anxiety warriors on a mission to raise awareness and understanding about anxiety and mental health.
You will hear honest, engaging, and joyful stories from us and many other anxiety warriors about living with anxiety. If you're seeking a space to laugh, connect, feel inspired and empowered, and learn valuable tips rooted in mindfulness and more, your warrior community is here for you.
Join us as we navigate this journey of life together.
Welcome back, warrior family.
We're here to talk about anxiety.
It's been 1,000,000 years since you've talked to me.
1,000,000 years times it by 3.
Nice. I threw you a curveball and you hit it. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. I've never sang a line back to you before. That was
No. I did have a little anxiety once I knew you were starting to sing back to me, right?
Okay. Well, you were on your toes though. I'm impressed.
Thanks. There were so many ways I could have responded, but I rhymed it and that's all that matters.
I think you crushed it.
Thanks.
Personal opinion. I think our warriors would agree, right, warriors? You can't respond to this, but just nod along if you think she killed it.
We all agree. We both crushed it.
We both crushed it. Our singing abilities are amazing.
They are. People have probably missed this more than anything else.
True. You know what? I'm gonna pretend like that's a reality. I'm gonna hold on to that. That'll make me happy.
Yeah.
Thinking people missed our ridiculous singing.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Right. They don't even care about the talk. They're here for the songs.
They're definitely here for our stellar musical stylings.
Yeah.
Okay, Abby. Ooh,
it's spooky time.
More curveballs. Warriors. Today, we're talking about a topic that I wasn't sure I could relate to. Then when we chatted about it a little bit, I realized, yes, okay, I have felt this sensation when this thing happens before. And it is
ghosting.
Ghosting.
Oh, that's good. Ghosting. but it's more ghosting, or are they just busy?
It's like you change it from like a rhythmic kind of ghosting, or are they just busy?
Yeah.
Very matter of fact question. So ghosting, or is it something else? Is it ghosting or is it something else?
Yeah.
That is the question of the day. And so let's start by defining ghosting.
Yeah.
For anyone that's not familiar with that term, which I imagine most of our listeners are familiar, but in case you are new to that term, what do you think ghosting is, Cher?
Well, I feel like right before we were recording, you said the perfect definition. So if you'll just say your definition, because I think it was great, and then we can expand on that.
Okay. So I thought I didn't have any experience with ghosting. And so I checked in with Abby to see if I thought I had it right. And she said she agreed that what I said was correct. And it was just like when you reach out to someone, anyone, whether it be a friend, a potential partner, a colleague, whomever, and you don't hear back from them for any nondescript period of time. And so that is how we would define what it means to be ghosted.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, the reason why I thought I maybe didn't have experience with this is because I've often heard it be used when it comes to the dating world.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I can tell you story after story about my experiences and a lot of friends' experiences too.
Yes.
I've never ghosted on dating. I've taken the more like, scary, brave stance of just telling people when I'm not interested in them. But I've had a number of friends that have ghosted others and very disappointed in them because it's mean. It's
mean. That is mean. Or is it preservation?
No, it's too afraid to just say I'm not that interested in you.
Right.
That's
it. Sometimes speaking that truth might come at a cost that might be maybe too risky for them. Just playing devil's advocate. Like, I'm just trying to think about like if somebody's somewhat low-key abusive in a relationship or something, and you're worried that telling them no or being really upfront might present a danger to you in your physical body, your emotional stuff, whatever, that maybe it's sort of an act of resistance or
I mean,
saying, I'm keeping myself safe. Maybe.
Right. Right. Ghosting to keep yourself safe is very different than
Right.
ghosting after 2 dates and then never speaking to that person again and telling them, hey, I'm just not that interested in you.
Yeah. No, I think that what you're talking about is definitely the majority,
Yes.
right? Which is just
Yes.
like I don't feel the need to take that brave step, as you said, to
Yeah.
tell that person to their face or via text or email or whatever it is that
Right.
like, hey, it was great to meet you, but blah blah blah, not going to work out,
Yeah.
whatever you're going to say. And
Right.
I do agree that that is certainly the braver choice, and it feels kinder. I
Well,
think I would
that's the
agree.
thing. Cause like people get afraid that, like, oh, I'm going to hurt someone's feelings by telling them I'm not interested in them. But as someone who's been on the receiving end of ghosts and being ghosted, the
The
not knowing
receiving
is
ends of
more
ghosts.
painful.
Sorry. The receiving ends of ghosts. Not ghosting, of ghosts
Of ghosts. I've been on the receiving end of ghosts.
is more painful. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just more painful. Like the not knowing. Did something happen to them? Did
Yeah.
I say something that was offensive? And they, like, did
Yeah.
like just say you're not interested. And like, yeah, that sucks. But I would rather know that
Hmm.
than wonder and not know.
Yes. Yeah. I think anyone would, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it hurts and it's not maybe the outcome you want,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, right? It's not meant for you. It's a gift to you. That
Yeah.
maybe you don't see it as a gift just yet, but hopefully eventually you're going to see it as a gift. Like,
Yeah.
why would you want to interact with someone, be with someone, whatever, that doesn't feel the same way about
Mm-hmm.
you? It's like, don't we all deserve to be around people, no matter who they are in our lives and relationships with them, that want to be around us, that want to talk to us, that want to communicate, whatever the
Yeah.
situation. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
especially, and honestly, like the story I have is not about dating, but I have a billion dating stories.
Right.
So I might tell dating stories too. But also in the dating scene, it doesn't mean that just because you go on a date, if neither person reaches out to the other, no one's ghosting. It's just like an understood, oh, we both weren't that interested in each other.
Hmm.
Right. Now, if someone reaches out after 3 days because they're playing the dumb game of like, oh, I have to wait before showing I'm interested, and that person never responds, like, just give them a response. The not responding is the ghosting. Or especially if what appears to be a really good date where the person seems equally interested and they talk about hanging out again and they talk about doing stuff and planning for future things together, and then you
Right.
reach out to them and they don't respond, like, that's just nasty. That's mean.
I agree. I do agree. I agree
Yeah.
with that. Okay, so let's hear your ghosting story.
Ghosting story. Good.
When we write the title for this episode, it's definitely this ghost is gonna have like 8 O's, and it's
It
perfect because we are entering
ghost.
spooky
Or
season.
are they just busy? And we'll like put that in one word
In
together.
parentheses, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one word, like a
Yeah. Or are they
hashtag.
just busy? Like that's
Love
one
it,
word.
love it. I love that. Good, good, good.
This will really find like our target audience, right? Ghost or are they just busy is like nailing it with like
Mm,
finding our warriors.
yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree. I would agree.
Um, so I guess like the one other thing I just want to say in regards to ghosting or are they just busy is for me personally, like I have an unconscious, unspecified time for everyone, right? Like if I text you, and I don't think you
Mhm.
would ghost me, right? But if I text you, in my mind, I should hear with you from you within like probably about 6 hours. I don't know. I've never put a time frame on it. It's more of a feeling. And
Mhm.
if I don't hear from you about that thing, if it's like I'm asking a question, right? I might start to get a little nervous about your well-being, right? Like, oh, is she
Yeah,
okay? Like, remember when I accidentally called you and then you called me and I
I
didn't
freaked
answer
out.
because I was driving and you,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I
because there's
texted
like this,
Dan.
yes, right? Like,
Yeah.
because there's this like unspoken thought in regards to different relationships, right? Like, if I email someone about a job opportunity in New York, my expectation is to hear back from them that day.
Yeah.
In Colorado, like 3 days, right?
Okay.
So I just want to put that in the ghosting story is because there's always this time thing when you have a really great date with someone and you've been texting back and forth, and then you text them and they don't respond. Like, and then you text them about making plans and they don't respond. It
Mm-hmm.
starts off at first as like, oh, they're busy. Oh, they're working. And then you look and you see, oh, wait, they were just on Facebook Messenger 2 minutes ago. They were active. They're alive. That's good. Right. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Right. And then it's like 17 hours later, and you are just like, why aren't they texting back? Why aren't they texting back? And like, the freak out part.
Yep.
Um, that's ghosting. Right. That's anyway. So my story is when I first moved to Colorado, I was in touch with a bunch of different kids yoga teachers, right? And I was in touch with one who wanted to start this whole like workshops for kids yoga teachers and certification programs, and she was teaching in schools primarily after school, and she was looking for more teachers, and we had a lot of back and forth, really vibed together, knew people in common. She loved those people we knew in common, right?
Right.
um we had studied with some of the same people, and so I think we like met for coffee once and we chatted about a bunch of stuff. I think Yeah, I think that's the order. I think that's the timeline. And then she was like, well, let me see how you teach. And I was like, cool. And so she had me go to the school where she knew all the kids really, really well. She'd been with them for years, right? These
Mm-hmm.
were elementary school kids. It was my first time meeting them. I didn't know their names or anything. Um, and I taught a class, and the kids had a lot of fun. And she made a lot of videos and pictures of me teaching the kids and then used it as content on social media. And
Mm.
then when I followed up about like, hey, like, let's, talk about next steps with working together. I didn't hear from her for a while. And then finally she said something like she like broke her foot or her ankle or something like that. Right. And, oh, okay, that sucks. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Hey, let me know, blah, blah, blah. When's a good time to reach out? I reached out multiple times from then, right? Not like overbearing,
Sure.
but multiple. And she would either not respond or give some like not direct answer, and then finally she just stopped responding to me. And I saw she went on with workshops, and I saw she used the stuff as a promo. She even like mentioned me once in her social
She used
media
your stuff as promos for her workshop.
for teaching kids. Yeah.
Okay, but this was after you had kind of been done speaking, like she had stopped responding, like well
Might
after,
have been
or
around
like
the same time. Might have been around the same. Like, I don't think it was when the official. I didn't hear from her anymore. It was like, oh, we're so
okay.
excited! Look at Abby. She's gonna be a new
Mm.
teacher, and she had like promised to send me the videos and the pictures so that I could use it for marketing and stuff. And then she never sent those. And then she just like disappeared. And she reminded me a lot of kids yoga teachers that I know, in the like say a lot of BS up front and then not follow through.
Hmm.
you know?
Whatever do you mean? Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Promising jobs and then not offering them.
What?
But that was like, I feel like that was like one of the first like work ghosting stories where I was like, wow, like I'm getting
Mm.
like, it's not just dating, like people just ghost in professional work relationships too.
Huh. I mean, I have low key rage just listening to that whole thing, honestly,
Yeah.
because I don't know, it just feels super slimy.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
feels worse, and like, we've joked constantly about random times we've been like ghosted from podcast guests or different things, people that
Right.
seem really interested in talking to us, and then like things don't happen or whatever. We're just like, all right, cool, like no big deal, I guess. But you kind of just shrug your shoulders and move on. But
Mm-hmm.
what bothers me more about this is that like this was paid work. Like this was
Oh, it wasn't
potential
even
work for
paid.
you. No, I'm saying like
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
potential paid work. Like
Yeah.
which I'm glad I said that then, because I wasn't sure if maybe this was like a paid gig,
No.
like, hey, come, we'll try out. Maybe we wouldn't make a lot of money, but like give you a little something for coming to do this
Nope.
trial.
Nope.
Which, like, I guess to be fair, it's like, okay, you're going to showcase your skills. If she's going to have you say maybe take over for contracts she's had for a long time, that the hope is like, hey, you're here to try to show me that like you're worth me giving money to weekly basis or whatever, hiring.
Should
That's
still
a
pay
whole
for
separate
gas
thing.
money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's cool or
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
like, I guess I could give that notion a pass, maybe as a small business, whatever. But yeah, it's just the whole act of showing your content as part of her content and then just going ahead and like being like, you know what? I'm going to use my broken foot as what? Like a pass to like never speak to this person again?
Yeah,
Someone that I
right.
wasted all those hours
And
dealing with.
stringing along for a bit too. Like she strung me
Right.
along. And like
Ugh.
deep down I knew because she just reminded me so much of someone else. And I was like, no, just because she reminds you of this other person, that doesn't mean that she is the other person.
Yeah,
Right. But I just
sure.
like had this like red flag feeling in my gut. And I was like, no, let's
Mm,
give this person a chance. And then she literally ghosted me as opposed to just saying, like, hey, I've thought about it. And I think that this style of teaching is not what I'm looking for. Or hey, I thought about it and I realized I don't have that much work right now and blah,
right.
blah, blah. Right? Like,
Yeah.
just
And you
communicate,
wonder,
end it with a bracket. This is the end. Like,
yes, I agree. I think that, I don't know, to me, it's an integrity thing when it comes to work, especially, right? Like
yeah.
you are not in integrity. Forget about just kids yoga or wellness or whatever. Like no matter your industry, if you are not going to close the loop, as you just said, like
Mm-hmm.
put a bracket on the end of it, you are not in integrity. Like it's
No.
not like, oh, you went to a job interview and that person says, we'll let you know. And then maybe you send a follow-up email and you never hear back. I feel like that doesn't mean that that employer or that potential employer is out of integrity because it's maybe more socially acceptable for companies not to reach out to every applicant and say, sorry, but this position has been filled or we've given it to someone else, whatever.
Yeah.
That's always nice, right? That still feels like the right thing to do. It certainly feels more kind to that individual that was
Mm-hmm.
hoping or wishing or, hoping to get some new work or whatever. But I feel like we give more of a pass to those people. And like as I'm saying this, it's like, is that right too? Should we even give a pass to even bigger companies that do that? But if you are a small business or you're someone that, is looking to build relationships to grow your small business or whatever size your business, you would think that it only takes maybe a moment of your time, less
Mm-hmm.
than a minute, to just say, we're going in a different direction. Thank you so much for all your time. Like it literally doesn't have to be any
Yeah.
deeper than that. Um, so you let the person know that like your relationship is done for the time being, like, or forever,
Yeah.
without that language. It just feels like, man, I'm so glad you never worked with this person at the end of the day. Right. Cause like they sound like an asshole.
Yes.
Right. So like it sucks and I'm ragey for you with you, but like at the same time, I'm like, well, her
Dodged a bullet.
loss,
Yeah.
dodged a bullet. Exactly.
But like the thing that really bothers me when it comes to like ghosting in the kids yoga world is like the basic tenet of yoga is ahimsa. And
Mm-hmm.
ahimsa is do no harm. That's like
Mm-hmm.
that is before any yoga poses. That is before breathing. That is before focusing, right? Before anything else, before having a connection with something greater than ourselves, right? Like the yamas and the niyamas, the very first one, ahimsa. How dare you say you're part of the yoga world and do unkind things? And like that's so
Mm,
many yoga people. Like
I know.
they're just
But
all hypocrites and lack integrity, but
yeah. Right. But it just proves your point, right? It's just like you're out of integrity, period.
yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
this person needs to take a harder look at their behavior and how it aligns, or in this case, misaligns with who they're trying to be in the world,
Mm-hmm.
who they're trying to be for kids, for students, whatever, for
Yeah.
their future staff or whatever. And this was years ago at this point, but like can't help but wonder, like, is that person even still doing this or they,
Yeah.
what's the deal? But I'm glad you're not there. I'm glad you didn't waste any time with her other than what you had already, which
Yeah.
like, isn't it so shitty that we have to learn these lessons through the pain?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, couldn't we have just been given the gift of honesty
Yeah.
and more up directness earlier?
Right.
So yeah, it just feels like, come on, people, have integrity, especially if
Yeah.
we're talking about the work world. If you're talking about any type of relationship, right? Have integrity. Do the brave thing. But when it comes to your work, your business, that's when you really should be taking into account what your actions and behaviors are speaking.
Because I'll
Yeah.
never recommend people to her, you know? But
Well,
also
why
with
would you?
with dating, just all around don't ghost, just communicate, right?
Love
Unless
it.
like what you said, Margot, it's a safety issue. If it's a safety issue, I don't think that woman felt threatened by me. Maybe she
No.
felt threatened by me. Maybe she's like, oh,
Maybe.
hot damn, this woman is an amazing kids yoga teacher and she will steal the show.
That sounds right. That sounds right. That doesn't make it okay,
No.
right? It doesn't make it. And she could have easily just said something else. She didn't have to email you and be like, hey, Abby, so I thought you did such a kick ass job that I unfortunately can't hire you because you're going to take over the
Right.
spotlight in my business. So she wouldn't have needed to say all of that to you, to just kindly break the tie. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not even thinking about her anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Kindly break the tie.
Yeah. And I was going to repeat back to you what you just said that I loved, and I already forgot it. So
I
there's
did
that.
too.
I was going to say something about you. You just said a great line, and I was like, going to repeat it, and now it's gone because that's where I'm at these days.
Yeah. Well, that's my
My
life
my
too.
thoughts ghosted me.
Your thoughts goes, they just left you hanging. There's
That's
no
it.
end.
Zero bracket at the end of that thought. That just, yep, the train just derailed and it's gone. It's down the ravine.
Was
Oh
it
well.
about dating? I said to them,
No,
dating.
no, it was just like one of the blanket statements you kind of just made towards the end there, like
Yeah,
about being in integrity. And again, it's gone. It's down the
that's all right.
ravine. So
When you listen
I'm
to this
letting it
again,
go.
it'll come.
What you mean when it's too late? Yep,
Yeah, when
totally.
it's too
That's when
late.
it
Yeah.
always comes. That's when all my best ideas and thoughts come, when it's too late.
When it's
That's like
too
the
late.
fucking definition of my life.
That's your
Uh,
story. That's your book. When
that's
it's
my
too
story.
late.
That's my story. I don't want that to be my story,
No.
but
No.
whatever. Gotta accept where I am sometimes. Um,
I want to hear
yeah.
your ghost story.
Oh, that was intense. She made me shiver, warrior.
Oh my God, it's a ghost story. I want to hear your ghost story. Come
That's
on, like we're sitting
good.
around a campfire telling ghost stories.
Yeah, I'll do without the campfire, but yes, ghost stories. So my ghost story is also work related because we know I don't have any dating ghost stories.
Oh, dang it. I should have told a dating story then. Dang it. All right,
That's
keep going.
okay. It's more aligned with like I think who we are in this podcast for the most part. So this one has a happy ending, so I'll just put that out there. Just, a
Hmm.
different kind of ending, but um obviously as an anxiety warrior, I always have low-key anxiety when I put something out in the world and I'm waiting for a response, right? I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the impetus here. It's like we putting something out to the world or a person or a people or group or whatever, and if the expectation, at least in your mind, is some kind of response, not necessarily a validation or like a yes, but some kind of response, it's
Something.
challenging when you don't get that in a
Mm-hmm.
timely fashion. And you mentioned this earlier. It's like
Yeah.
it isn't about ghosting completely, right? Sometimes you might feel ghosted by a person or a group or whatever, if it just takes longer than it say normally does in a pattern of that person's behavior,
Mm-hmm.
or just normally in terms of, I guess, societal expectations. Like you made the joke about New York versus Colorado
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
time frame. And so this was a person that I have a very built out foundationed relationship with
Okay.
in my business. And she and I have been working together. I've been teaching at this place for a very, very long time. And so we have a long-standing relationship for the past 4 years. And she's very good at communication. So like I email her and I expect a response again based on her patterns of behavior anywhere between 24 and 72 hours, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's typical.
Yep.
And the same thing usually is true for me. I actually might be a little bit worse than her because her emails aren't like usually like about putting out a fire or something. And so I don't necessarily feel the pressure to respond to her within 28 to 48 hours. But I usually do, right? Mostly I'm replying to work emails anywhere between 1 and 3 days after
Yep.
receiving it. That's like my integrity in my mind. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the grace period I'm allowing myself to have
Right.
within the boundary of work relationships. And so we all have to decide that for ourselves, but we'll put that away for a minute. And so I had put something out there about a new offering at this place that I was like, had the thought of. I'm like, I would like to do this offering, right? And so I had emailed her about it and I said, "Hey, I'm wondering if I can add this offering. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's the time frame that and the day of the month that I'm looking at doing." And so again, based on the nature of our relationship, I'm so used to hearing from her, whether it be yes, no, whatever, within a few days. And so, like, 12 days went by. And so, like, after the 72-hour mark, I was a little like, I started to feel that little like tingle of like,
Mm-hmm.
like, hmm. what's that about, right? Like,
Yeah.
am I not hearing from
Right.
her because she doesn't like the idea, because she um is trying to maybe find the right words to let me down easy or
Right.
something. Not that I really had any like stock in the idea, like in terms of my emotional state, but like, so then I started to overthink kind of like what might be going on. Is she, maybe she's on vacation this week. And then like I'm literally coming up
Hmm.
with any excuse for this woman
Right.
about why she isn't responding to me, even with like a negative reaction to my idea, right? Which I knew wasn't the case. Like deep down, I knew
Yeah.
that even if it was going to be a no to this potential offering, that it was going to come from a very like kind place. It
Hmm.
was just going to be like, hey, we don't have space for that. We don't have budget for that. Like whatever. And so I sent after the 12th day, I sent a follow-up email. I was like, all right, I've never had to do this before. That was new. I was
Awkward.
just kind of like, hey, so and so, I'm wondering if you have any questions or thoughts about this idea. Look forward to hearing from you.
Hmm.
And so, in my mind, so then another, you want to guess how many more days went by?
6.
10.
Oh
Another
man.
10 days went
Oh
by.
God. That's
And so, like,
agony.
it was the kind of thing where, like, I wasn't in agony, but I just was in that thought loop of like, what is going on,
Yeah.
right? Like if this is a vacation, this is a long vacation.
Right.
What is the deal? Why aren't I getting an email back that says like an away message or something? Mostly,
Hmm.
right? When people are away for a while for businesses, it's like you get some kind of an alert that says, I'll be back into the office at this date. And so it got to be 10 days later, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, I've let this go. Like, I'm not going to bring this up again.
Hmm.
But I knew I was going to be teaching there this week. And so my thought in my mind was, okay, last ditch effort. When I maybe see this person in person, I'll say something, and that will be my last thing. And if I don't see that person, then we're done. Like it is what it is, right? And so yesterday, I didn't see that person today, but I would have. She wasn't there, but I taught there today, and so, but she had responded to me yesterday,
Oh my
finally, and she
God.
said sorry for the delay. She didn't explain herself, and I'm not going to be like, where were you?
Yeah.
Why did you
Yeah.
ghost me for 25 days? Or I can't
Oh
do
my
that, some
God.
version of that. And, and she was like, love the idea. Sounds great. How do these dates sound? I was like, great, and
All
so
right.
all good. But
Yeah.
it felt like ghosting because of the pattern that had been established
Yes. Yes.
before in all the years before.
Yes.
And yeah, we all go through stuff no matter who we are and what our job is. And so, like, I have a lot of stuff going on personally these last few weeks. And so I've been a little less responsive to
Hmm.
everyone in my life, business or otherwise. And I've been relying on, other people to
Hmm.
help me with those little things that I need help with. Some things I have to do myself, like teach.
Yep.
There have been other things that I've been able to either hold off or tell a person I need more time or whatever. But
Hmm.
again, in integrity, I'm always direct and honest and communicative. And I tell the people that I need help from that I need their help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
very much can do that. And we're happy to do that and appreciated
Yeah.
having a role to play and being helpful and whatever. And I'm grateful for those relationships. Thank you very much, anyone that's listening that's been helpful to me these last few weeks. But yeah, I just felt like, oh, this is low key ghosting, right? It's like this
Hmm.
counts as being ghosted when over 20 something days goes by, when I'm used to maybe 2 to 3 days going by
Right.
before I get any kind of response.
Right.
It felt, what's the word? Disturbing? No, that's not the word. Although that's in theme.
It's in.
Scary. It felt
Ooh.
scary. No, it really wasn't scary because I wasn't attached to the idea. I was more just like, I found it interesting to be curious
Yeah.
about where my thoughts were traveling to in that time frame. Like
Right.
every each day that went by, I'm like, I haven't heard from her, and it was like, what could be going on? This feels like a really long time. I hope she's okay.
Right.
And all the things. So yeah.
I like that a couple times you said the pattern, right?
Mhm.
Because your response and your thoughts might have been different if you didn't have this 4-year pattern with this person,
Yeah.
right? If you only had been with them for like a month,
Yeah.
right? And so you
Right.
didn't have this pattern. And I think that that's really it, is when you have a pattern with someone, right? Especially when at some point they've been super responsive and then the responsiveness changes. And as far as
Mm.
you don't know what caused the change, right?
Hmm.
Is it something in their life, which most likely, or is it something between us, which is, it happens more in dating, right?
Sure.
And so then you're trying to figure out like, what is this? What is this? I want to understand this.
Yeah.
So I really like that you chose the word pattern multiple times because yeah, when the pattern changes, it's like, am I being ghosted? Or are they just really busy? Like, which one is it? Like,
Yeah. Which one is it?
mm-hmm. Am I being
Yeah.
rejected or did they forget to
Right.
respond? Right? Like,
Yes, exactly. And so I'm always, as an anxiety warrior myself, I'm always thinking about what the other person might be thinking too, which I
mm-hmm.
guess is that's low key fawn response, people pleaser. So like still working on that. I think we're both, all of us still working on that. But generally, I try not to let people hang for too long, especially if I
Mm-hmm.
do have an existing foundationed relationship with them. If it's a new person or someone I don't really know and they reach out, like we get invitations for people to interview, for us to interview people, which I
Mm-hmm.
use that word playfully because it's like people think that they're inviting us to interview them,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is very funny language to us whenever we get like DMs or random emails from people that are not being genuine, being super disingenuous about their interests in being a guest on our podcast or about if they've listened to any episodes. And whenever we've called them out overtly or covertly on the fact that we believe that didn't listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they behave as if us talking to them would be some sort of gift to us or the podcast or something. I'm not sure, but
Well, it's a
what?
gift to our listeners because our listeners can then find out how they've solved anxiety, and our listeners can then buy their shit from them to solve their own problems. Like that's how they
Sure.
phrase it. They're like, I've learned the
Sometimes,
key
yeah.
to unlocking all the secrets of the world. And don't you want to interview me so I can give this gift to your listeners? Sorry,
Yeah.
listeners, we haven't let those people on to
No.
share the
No,
secrets of the world to you.
we've only ever accepted guests that we felt had a true story to tell of their
Yeah.
own and that aren't just looking to sell shit. So if you are a previous guest or a future guest that we know we're going to be speaking to because we've talked already, just know that you're in that latter camp of just
Yeah.
like being in integrity, and that's why we want to talk to you and have wanted to talk to you. But anyway, we digress from that. But yeah, I feel like I can appreciate the way this phrase, this experience, can be felt differently, right? From different people, different times. Like it feels like it should be more simple. Like everything feels like it should be more simple. But clearly being ghosted has a multifaceted way of existing in the world. And those of us that haven't experienced it in terms of dating, which again, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's when it gets discussed the most.
Yep.
Um,
Or even
I'm sure that you can come up
friendships.
with some stuff. Everyone listening can come up with some time that they'd been ghosted by a friend or a
Yeah.
colleague or
Which is also
whatever.
painful when you're like friends with someone and then they literally ghost you for years. That happened too to me. We're friends
Yes.
again. But still, it's like painful shit. Like, just tell me you need a break from our friendship, right? Just
Mhm.
say those things.
It's
And
true.
then we'll take a break. So
Yeah,
the other person
right.
doesn't overthink everything and be like, what happened?
Right. What did I do? What,
Mm-hmm.
right, exactly. It feels so unfair to some extent
Yeah.
if when you can just be honest, right? You can
Yes.
just be honest.
Yeah.
So that's the takeaway, I think, warriors. If you have a pattern of, not closing the loop on relationships, whether they be a short-term relationship or a long-term relationship, maybe now is a good time to reflect on that way of being, on that behavior. Are there changes you can make, for yourself and the people that you hopefully cared about or care about, um, to be able to close that loop for you and close that loop for them, right? Because
But
yeah,
keeping in mind what you said at the beginning, right? Because I've definitely ghosted some people that are very personality disordered unwell
yep,
because they are abusive to me. So, like you
exactly.
said, bring it full
You still need to
circle.
protect yourself.
Yeah. If
Exactly.
you've ghosted someone because they are harmful to you, fuck yeah, good work.
Hmm.
Good work
Yes.
ghosting them because that's
Well
hard
said.
shit too. Yeah.
Well said.
Well
Yep.
said.
No, it is. It's well said. It's
I
like
said
good for
fucking
you.
shit.
Be
Yeah, no,
proud
but
of
yeah. Yeah.
yourself for doing that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is hard shit. That's hard shit. It is not easy to stand firm in that boundary. And so
Right.
if you had the strength to do that, then
You don't have
yes.
to close any loops. You got to
Nope.
pat yourself on the back and give yourself a treat.
ghost all fucking day. Keep
Yeah.
ghosting forever with that harmful person. So yes, I'm glad yeah, we closed that loop now.
Yeah.
We helped soothe your anxiety warriors on that. We closed the
Yeah.
loop on what that hope is. So if that was you, you're a little bit of a ghoster. And if you've been ghosted before, right? Um, maybe now's a good time to reflect on those stories a little bit if it's not too triggering for you. Maybe a little late journaling or reflecting on what it felt like in your body, in your mind, what happened with your thought loops when you were ghosted. Um, has it impacted your mental health, right? For better or for worse? Did you ultimately come to the conclusion that they weren't meant for you? Were you able to get past it? Are you still going through it? Um, and no matter where you are in that journey, right? If you're in the middle of being ghosted right now, we kind of let's just hold space for you. We see
Yeah.
you, sending love, lots of sparkle and shine and twinkles. And just understand that we understand how uncomfortable that must be for you and must have been for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can do hard things. You can get through the sensation of being ghosted and come out on the other side.
But
Hopefully
don't date
stronger.
them again. Let me
Yeah.
just say, I'm giving previous Abby advice.
Or if it's
If it's
not a
a
dating
dating,
person, right?
if you're dating and they come back after like a few weeks, nope, they'll ghost
No,
again. Once a
not
ghost, always a ghost.
yeah, and especially if it's just a few weeks, not enough
Yeah.
time has passed for them to change or do some inner work.
Yeah.
So maybe if it's years later or something, you want to give someone a second chance. You decide that for yourself if that's what your instincts tell you. But yeah, a few weeks is not a long time.
Yeah.
So certainly not a few days or hours either. So keep that in mind, warriors.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
All right. Well, we have a shared win.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So when Margot and I first started the podcast, we would always check this thing called Feed Spot and to see
Mhm.
where we were ranked. Oh no, I didn't let you sing. I guess we
What?
have a win of the week. Win of
Win of
the
the
week.
week.
We got to give the people what they want.
We established that they're only here for our
Yeah.
singing selves.
Yeah. They probably like fast forwarded it to the end and then we like didn't even
Just
give them
waiting for
a
the win song.
song.
Ay, ay, ay.
Um, so when we first started, I can't remember what it was, but I think it was definitely in the 40s. Like it was a mental health podcast or anxiety related
Anxiety
podcast.
podcasts.
And we were ranked in like the 40s. We might have even been ranked higher at some point, but I definitely remember like seeing a 44 at some point or something like that.
Yep. I remember we were consistently in like the mid to low 30s.
I
That
remember
was like
that
where we
for
were the
like,
most consistent,
yeah, like
like
two
for
years
years.
straight. Yeah.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
And at some point, I just stopped looking
Same.
because, we were always like 32, 33,
Yeah.
31, right? And then like a couple of weeks ago, Margot texted me and she sent a screenshot and we're number 4, baby.
What? I know. It was so cool to see that. I don't even know what made me check again. I was like,
Yeah.
what? It's been a really long time. Let's see where we're at. I was waiting for us to be at like, because we only do 2 episodes a month now ish.
Right.
I was waiting for us to be like, at the end of the list or 60 or something. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess it's because we're one of the few that are still standing. That's
Probably. I think there's
going
like
out on a
us and like
limb.
2 others.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Although there's still like I think the link is for like the top 60 podcasts or something
Mm-hmm.
like internationally. And so like there's still that many of them existing in the world. Whether or not they are still existing, we don't know, I guess, right?
Right.
But yeah, that was pretty cool to see us in the top 5.
We did it.
Did that shit. Air 5. We're pretending to high five our cameras, warrior.
Yeah.
Like the idiots that we are. Oh, I love that. I love that win for us.
Yeah.
I
We
love
did
that
it.
win for us. We did that shit. All right, warriors, we love you so much. Thanks for being with us again this week. If you would like
Mm-hmm.
to connect with us for any reason, you can join our Instagram fam. We are at Anxiety Warriors Podcast. Or you can throw us an email at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. You can shout out your wins of the week, big or small. You can let us know if you have any great topic ideas for us, or if you think you would be a fabulous guest on our show. Let us know. Let's hook you up and us up. Authentic stories only, to
Mm-hmm.
become a guest at some point in the near future. Please take a moment and smash the 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're tuning in right now. You can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our episodes are uploaded for you over there. And if you're feeling super generous this fall, you're getting ready for holiday season, maybe you grab yourself something fun. Our link to our threadless merch shop is in our show notes.
Mm-hmm. Give us a surprise like that, right? Surprise us with a sale. We'll do a
Don't
happy
ghost
dance.
us. Give us.
Yes. You're not too busy.
You need them hoodies.
Yeah.
You need yourself a toasty beverage container.
A toasty beverage container. That's what they need. Is a toasty beverage container.
I had to make the word mug so fucking complicated.
I know.
If that doesn't sum up my fucking brain as well, warriors, God help us all. Jesus.
I mean, the holidays are coming up. Think of that loved one you want to give a toasty beverage container to.
Fucking dying over here.
How'd you call a blanket? A heavy fabric.
Oh my God, I'm gonna pee. Oh Jesus. Look, I've got my Anxiety Warriors podcast toasty beverage container right here.
We're recording.
I'm sweating. It's not even hot out.
Sweating and crying.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Well, everyone, now you understand the mission. You need to get yourself a toasty beverage container or a heavy fabric burrito wrap.
Yes.
That's my new word for blanket. For this upcoming, cool weather season.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to be toasty in this cool weather season.
Stay toasty, bitches.
Get a container for you and a friend.
Would you prefer receptacle?
No, I would prefer
container. I'm not going back. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's it. Containers for everyone.
Nothing's toasty in here. It's just water. But
yeah, that's
well,
but it can hold toastiness in it.
You can put whatever you want in your toasty beverage container. You can feel free to put cold beverages in your toasty beverage container. It's your container. You do you, honey.
That's true. That's true. You choose what feels right for this container.
Yeah, you could say, fuck the toasty beverage.
Maybe you want a glass. Maybe you want a glass of something. I don't think we sell glass.
I don't see. As she says that, she realizes, no, unfortunately, there are no glasses. No, that's a bummer, though. They should really. There were a few things that I feel like we've come up with over the past few years that they have not started selling, which is a bummer.
I know.
And now, of course, I don't remember what some of them were, but like I remember over the years, we're like, they should add a blah, they should add this and that.
Yeah,
and I don't even remember what it was. So
even stuff for pets. Come on, everyone knows that they have an anxiety warrior dog or cat in their lives, right?
Hell yeah,
anxiety warrior dog or cat bandana. I mean, we should send our info to them. We should give them some ideas.
All right, warriors.
All right. Well, thanks so much for going on this journey with us. We're grateful we get to do this with y'all.
If you're still here, till next time.